this is not an option. This is a crackpot idea advanced by a crackpot in Congress. And, one of the things that has been exposed by this situation is how many crackpots there are in the Republican Party, including in the Republican Party in Congress. Remember that lawsuit that was filed by the state of Texas that was a lunatic claim trying to influence the election results in other swing states. And now this notion that the vice president can decree different electoral votes. Wow, maybe Al Gore could have thought of that in 2000 when he had to, or early 2001 when he had to read the results, or making George W. Bush the president, or maybe Richard Nixon in early 1961. If he had just been devious enough, he could have come up with a way to flip the electoral college votes away from John F. Kennedy. No, he does not have the power to do that. But, it is a bottomless pit of nuttery that the Republican Party or individual members of the Republican Party are going to pursue.
Well, the evidence is overwhelming and compelling that there has been serious voter fraud and election theft in this election in a number of different ways, and I can detail them if you wish, but it probably takes more time than you're allotting me. Notwithstanding that, there are dozens in the House of Representatives who have reached that conclusion, as I have. We're going to sponsor and co-sponsor objections to the Electoral College vote returns of Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, and maybe more, depending on where we collectively want to go. The real issue is whether we're going to have any senators who have done their homework, who have studied what has transpired to the point where they understand, as we do, that there has been massive voter fraud and election theft unlike anything we've seen in American history.
17 snake handlers out of the Pennsylvania House, just 17 of them, not one state senator, not even the state party owns this. Some random House members sent out this ridiculous, simp tribute to the president. And of course, the president would retreat anything that tries to cast doubt on the election. There's zero fraud in Pennsylvania, save for these three cases.
Zero fraud in Pennsylvania. Welcome to the bottom of the bottomless pit of, what do you call it, nuttery? We're live from the nation's capital. You are in the war room. It is Tuesday, the 29th of December, the year of our Lord 2020. And Jack Maxey, Raheem Kassam, Raheem, particularly since you're an Englishman, it is the 850th anniversary of the martyrdom and death of Thomas à Becket, the Archbishop of Canterbury, at the hands of Henry II. And why do I know that? Well, first off, I think it's a Saint's Day. But why do I know that? Because Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States, put out a proclamation this morning to remind us all of this. That would be Donald J. Trump, that Gallup just announced is the most admired man in America by several orders of magnitude over Joe Biden. Beats Barack Obama, but crushes Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a one-digit midget in this. That would be Joe Biden of the 84 million votes. The home of the snake handlers. God, are they getting vicious and nasty? They get nasty as the more they squirm. No, John Harwood, you're absolutely incorrect, and you ought to talk to some constitutional scholars. The Vice President of the United States has many alternatives, particularly as the receipts are showing up. There is also massive sweating as we're going across the nation of the culprits here. That would be the elected Republican officials from Maricopa County to Atlanta, Georgia, and we're going to get to it. We're going to get to it all. The 850th anniversary of the death of Thomas à Becket, and we're going to have something to say about that in the second hour. We get so much to jam in here in the first hour. Number one podcast in America now for multiple days in a row. Over almost 26 million now downloads in podcasts. Remember, that's actually a very small portion of our audience on the John Fredericks Radio Network nationwide. Of course, Real America's Voice. Really want to give a hat tip to the Real America's Voice guys over the holidays. A lot of places are shut down. Not the team in Denver. They're cranking away every day to help us co-produce the show and make sure it gets out. So just doing a fantastic job. Cannot say enough good things about Real America's Voice, who's in the business of showing the receipts of the voter fraud of all of this. Also on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Pluto, on every distribution platform out there. We want total ubiquity so that you can get this. We're going to have more Kelly Loeffler, her interview on Gateway Pundit, her very weak interview this morning on Fox and Friends. We're going to get people fired up, numbers. In Maricopa County, they're whining right now. There's too much pressure on them. There's too much pressure on the politicians in Arizona. There's too much pressure on the politicians of Georgia. It's because the most powerful audience in all media, that is the War Room's audience, is now up on the ramparts, and they are demanding to be heard. Okay, we're going to go now to the assistant to the president, Peter Navarro. And Peter, your immaculate deception, which was and by the way, if Denver can pull the cover, just as we do the I didn't give you guys a heads up, but I just want to get the cover, that beautiful cover that Peter Navarro had on. And it's really Peter Navarro, Herr Doctor Peter Navarro, because we honor PhDs here, particularly when they come from Cambridge in New England. Dr. Navarro, the immaculate deception, I think, will be looked at when the history of this is written as one of the inflection points. You kind of aggregated and did some additional analysis. A lot of things are out there, but actually showed the overall math. And most importantly, and this is the radio audience, remember when you do something like this and you put it out, more things happen. This is about the whole thing of commitment. Once you commit to something, doors open, books come into your hand, people call you, people connect with you. That's why it takes commitment. Once you commit to the process, things happen. Peter Navarro committed. He did this amazing report. He's really the numbers guy inside the White House. That's how you have all the manufacturing tariffs and all the deals that I know the globalists say doesn't work, right? It was Navarro that drove this. He also got in back of looking out, hey, on his free time, what's going on with this steel and what's the math in back of it. Peter, give us an update on the Immaculate Deception Part 2, and then I want to get into things that are happening around the country and other people that are coming to you with other bits of analysis.
Yeah, I do have a little bit of possibly breaking news for you, but first I'm still trying to get past the one-digit midget. You do have a way with words, Mr. Bannon. Joe Biden, the one-digit.
Well, hold on, but Peter, hang on. But this goes back to your mathematics. Right, you can't have 80. Listen, yes. Here's the scam they can't hide. This is what they can't hide. You can't have 84 million people and be bigger than Obama and not have an inauguration because no crowds are going to show up, so you're going to do a shelter-in-place inauguration. He doesn't come on primetime anymore because nobody watches and they can't hide the numbers, so they put him out before he does the sundowner at 5 o'clock. He comes out at 3:45 every afternoon before the doctor has to put him down for his nap, right? And you can't, and now Gallup exposes it. He's at 6%. Trump's, I think, at 18%.
6%, yes.
Joke.
The one-digit midget. Okay, that's going viral today. But let's this go viral because I want to give you a preview of the sequel to the Immaculate Deception Report. But first, what the Immaculate Deception Report I think did was it showed patterns across 6 battleground states: Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and it showed this fraud and irregularities. 6 dimensions of this. They're quite sweeping. See it check marks in the matrix. There's no question in my mind at this point, Steve, that this election was stolen from Donald J. Trump. Okay, so the central premise of the Immaculate Deception is this: that the Democrat Party had a conscious strategy to stuff the ballot box with absentee and mail-in ballots so as to sway the election for Biden. Okay, so that's what I'm fleshing out in the second volume of the Immaculate Deception. And here's what I've got so far. It's like you've got, if you think about it's a two-pronged strategy. It's one, first of all, change all the rules, regulations, laws that you can to expand the universe of absentee and mail-in ballots that can come in to the process, particularly in Democrat precincts and jurisdictions. Okay, but expand, just get a ton load of more absentee mail-in ballots, right? And put them into the process, and then coming out of the process, make sure that there's a substantial fewer numbers of absentee ballots and mail-in ballots that are rejected by the process. Now, implicit in all of that is fraud, because a lot of this relaxation that was done was designed to do things like let naked ballots in, let ballots in with no signature match, not check addresses so you get people voting twice, you got dead voters, ghost voters, all of that. Okay, that's the strategy. Now, here's what's breathtaking, Steve. Part of this was done. It was, the pandemic kind of gave it like a shot of adrenaline. But this started well prior to that, and probably the minute after Donald Trump got elected. And across these 6 battleground states, there was conscious efforts to change the laws, rules, and regulations. And very often, I'm sad to report here, that Republicans had, they were part of that process for reasons that are the basis of motives. Okay, but there's other people, and you guys have covered it probably the best and maybe the only people covering it. Zuckerberg, Soros. This is part of the biggest steal in world history of an election. Okay, was in part fueled, funded, masterminded, and schemed by Zuckerberg, his minions, and Soros. Okay, no tinfoil. Just look at the numbers. You put more than $500 million into what they call these private-public partnerships, which were established. They eventually gave a bunch of money.
Hang on one second. But hang on one second.
And put conditions on them.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
We've had Phil Klein. We are covering this because Phil Klein's got the receipts. He's in court. He's showing this on Zuckerberg. How do you get?
Yep.
How do you get? How does the boogeyman Soros show up in this fever dream of yours? Tell me about how does Soros fit in here?
Soros basically funds these quote public interest groups that are used basically as grassroots organizing tools to identify Democrat voters and make it easier for them to get to the polls. It's pretty simple. I mean, he's got this broad strategy. I mean, for example, just unrelated to the election, he follows judges and attorney general. He put money in to what seemed like small offices in states that actually have an important effect. So he's an important part of the story, but really the money Zuckerberg spent. Look, nonprofit organizations are not supposed to target the Democratic side of the political equation in order to sway an election and get tax breaks in the process. That should not happen. So that's another discussion.
Hold it, Doctor, hang on a second. Hang on, we're going to take a commercial break. We want you to hang on. Dr. Navarro, you covered that first, Raheem, about the Zuckerberg thing.
Well,
right?
And also don't forget, as regards Soros, Rosa Brooks, who founded the Transition Integrity Project, which was the psychological warfare part of all of this, prepping you for all of this nonsense that's been going on. That was Soros to a T.
Also, you were the first one to say about the Zuckerberg back in July, was it? About warning us on the Zuckerberg issue, or was it August?
Oh, I think it was August. And again, Phil Klein, because of Phil Klein, the Amistad Project and CTCL, they brought me a wealth of evidence. I said, wow, you've hit the mother lode here.
This Zuckerberg thing is big. Okay, we're going to take a short commercial break. When we return, we got Dr. Peter Navarro, the Assistant to the President for Trade and Manufacturing. He's now doing an analysis called the Immaculate Deception 2.0 that he's going to release. He's also got some breaking news for us on other analysis that's being done by other prominent people that is showing where the steel actually came from. A short commercial break. We'll be back in a second.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Quite a bit of it. And to that, we did have the president sign a strong executive order to bring home our essential medicine supply chains as well as our supply chains for personal protective equipment. But that's going to be a long haul. That's going to take years. The president also signed a really important order to buy American for our electric transformers for our bulk power system, which is a great risk from the Chinese. But they control our printed circuit boards. They control all manner of things. And here's the thing, Will. It's not just that those jobs go over to China when they control the supply chain. They could actually plant items in our supply chain that can compromise our ability to defend this country. So one of the big agendas for the second Trump term is scheduled, because I'm not giving up yet on this election fraud, that we were going to finally finish the job of getting tough with China and bringing our supply chains home. If a Biden illegal and illegitimate regime doesn't do that, God help this country.
Okay, I've been ranting and raving lately about the plight of small business in the United States. New York City just shut down indoor dining. It's like, how do you expect these people to survive? How are restaurants going to survive? They're already on their last legs, and you're pulling the plug on them. And nobody seems to care in the government, or at least they're not doing anything, acting like they care. No plan, no relief, no bailout. It's like, what's going to happen? So I was ranting and raving about it. Marcus Lemonis challenged me. He's like, why don't you put your money where your mouth is? Well, I've spent the last couple days doing exactly that. So we're going to donate $500,000, and we've come up with a plan. Is it the best plan? No. The best plan is the government getting off and issuing relief, billions of dollars, to these small business owners who are losing their livelihoods and have no recourse and no way to save it through no fault of their own. Billions of dollars. That's the solution. That's the only solution, really. But barring that,
action, action, action. You heard, is it Portnoy? But by the way, he's on fire. You may not agree with everything the guy does, but he did a great interview with President Trump at the White House, and then he's an action-oriented guy, right? So I want to get, but Navarro, you heard Navarro's voice right there. The second Trump term, this is what we got to be focused on. This is why there should have been a veto. This is why you should be crushing all these guys running around, Lilliputians. Is that it? Trying to overcome your vetoes, get rid of 230, not do what you want to do on Section 230. This is all redonkulous, right? You got to stand up. Second term, President Trump. You got a bonus. We got a bonus. What? 27 days. Let's roll. Let's do it. Peter Navarro, loved your thing about supply chains. Haven't heard that in so long. As others have been talking about everybody's been talking about that. I don't know if we cut the Rex Tillerson. If you did the Rex Tillerson, we had the Rex Tillerson, your Rex Tillerson imitation in there. But Peter, you don't know about supply chains, right? Don't know about international supply chains, but actually you do, and you know that the CCP controls it, and that's what you're trying to bring back to the United States. So you said in there, to get to President Trump's second term, we got to close on this steal of this election. So the hashtag war on pandemic, the Donald.win, they're having the bad hombres breakfast clubs having nails with whole milk today, right over there, and you've got the live stream. They want to know, hey, Navarro, it's all good. You were very interesting in the first segment, but what's your breaking news? Quit promoting the Immaculate Deception 2.0. You got royalties on that, and give us some breaking news. What's your breaking news about other people that have been drawn to your cause, Dr. Navarro?
There are no royalties, Steve, in a populist economic nationalism. There are only the people.
Yo,
all right,
brother.
Here's the deal. Very serious matter. I have gotten a first look at a statistical analysis, and why it's important, Steve, is it focused like a laser beam of what I have rightly called the cesspool of friggin' Georgia. The cesspool of Georgia. There's two key findings. What this statistician did was he compared precincts in Fulton County in a way which reveals that somehow, some way, the Trump absentee voters were basically disappeared, right? Statistically significant. They were disappeared in sufficient numbers that would alone swing the election. And then in addition, there's a separate part of the analysis that looks statistically for this phenomenon of what's called excess voters, right? If you're gonna kind of find fraud, outright fraud in the numbers, it's like these people are going to show up somehow, the dead voters, the ghost voters, the out-of-state voters, the people vote more than once. And what this gentleman has found is the substantial existence of excess voters both in Fulton County, Georgia, and in Pennsylvania. Those are the two places he focused on. So I'm hoping that this will get out today. There's been some bureaucratic hassles associated with this, but this will be a very important study, Steve, one way or the other, because if we let that Georgia vote go forward on January 5th, under the current rules, we're going to lose 2 Senate seats. There's no doubt in my mind. And the fact that Kemp and Raffensperger have not woken up to that, the fact that Perdue has not standing up on the friggin' yardums and shouting to the world, hey, we need to postpone till we deal with these things. I mean, Georgia is unique in that it's got one of the thinnest alleged Biden victory margins, and it's got like a tsunami of potentially illegal votes. And we know exactly what they did much of the time. And look, you've said this many times. One goes, they all fall. Georgia needs to fall. Arizona needs to fall. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. And then we get to all the crazy bribery in Nevada, but that's another
Okay,
story.
hang on. Okay,
Steve.
but this is just not some guy wandering in and saying, "Hey, I got a report." You're going to see that when this is released.
No.
And by the way, I understand about the bureaucratic thing. It's like the declassification of the declassification of everything around the Russian interference and the Russian hoax and trying to nullify the presidential election from last time. Hey, dude, guys, we got like 20-some days until the second term starts. Let's just forget the bureaucrats. Just blow it out. Just release all the classified information. That, by the way, shouldn't be classified. Peter Navarro,
that should happen.
That should happen. And but why are you doing bureaucratic? I got to check this box. Say, hey guys, how about this? I'm going to release this. This is one of the most prominent statistical analysts in the country, and already in his other line of work, he's had major public policy decisions come off his statistical analytical work. Everybody will know who this guy is when it's released, hopefully before noon so we can do it live on the show. But once you see this report, the lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania, and this is what I love about the mainstream media, MSNBC's got these guys up there, and they're just trash-talking people all the time. You got a lieutenant governor who looks, by the way, like he's a high priest in the Satanic Church. Just saying, bro, the whole thing. And he's talking about snake handlers, right? He's talking about, did I get the shiv in there? He's talking about snake handlers on the statistical analysis. Go back. I want you to say a cesspool, but specifically give us to us again, Fulton County, and why you've got Raffensperger and Kemp and these gutless politicians down there hiding under cover. What does this guy say about Fulton County? Let's do wash, rinse, repeat here, because it's that important.
In the precincts where there are allegations of fraud, if you compare the vote patterns in those precincts to the adjacent ones where there were not allegations, you see a huge suppression of the Trump absentee ballot vote. And then as a separate analysis, this guy did a screen to try to figure out whether there were excess voters. And he found a ton of statistically he found the presence of excess voters. And the only way you can explain excess voters is through fraud. He didn't identify specific types of fraud. But the only way you can have more people voting than they should is if you've got things going on which shouldn't be happening, like dead voters. The ghost voter is the voter that you get a ballot from an address and the person's gone. You get multi people voting multiple times, things like all sorts of stuff. Really, right out of the Mayor Daley Chicago, steal it from Nixon playbook in the 1960s on steroids.
Okay, real quickly, we got about 45 seconds. Your warning, and this is Peter Navarro. This is not some guy with his hair on fire, one of the most smartest guys in the White House. Your warning to Perdue and Loeffler campaign about the 5th if we're playing under the same rules. What's your warning?
Those Senate seats are going to be lost, boys and girls. Perdue, you're out of there. Loeffler, you're out of there. If you let this go forward without standing up right now for Donald J. Trump getting the deplorables in your base, but more importantly, stopping the steal. Steve, they're doing the same crap that I identified in the Immaculate Deception report, and they're doing it more because they think they can get away with it. I don't understand, Steve, why nobody's calling them on this unless Kemp and Raffensperger got count somewhere. This doesn't make sense. These are Republicans. We're about to lose the Republican Senate. We are about to lose this country, and these people, Kemp, Raffensperger, Ducey out in Arizona, they won't stand up for this country. They're letting this nation down. They're letting this president down. They're letting democracy down.
Peter, how to get your real quickly? What's your Twitter handle so people can follow you?
Real P Navarro. Real P Navarro. And as soon as I get some access to that report where I can get it, I'll get out there and we'll get it up on the War Room.
Okay, brother. Okay.
As soon as we can.
Okay, brother. Peter Navarro, Dr. Peter Navarro, great hit. We couldn't get to a bunch of other stuff. We'll do it tomorrow. But Dr. Peter Navarro, want to hear what you have to say in hashtag War and Pandemic in the live stream. Tell us what you think. Tell us what we should be covering. We're going to go to Arizona next. They get to Maricopa County. The Board of Supervisors saying no mas, please, no more calls, no more emails, no more. Guess what we're going to do? Triple down. The snake handler, the home of the snake handlers, will return next.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Hey, it's real simple. We're not going to wait to 2022. If you do not stand up for the Republic, if you do not stand up for the Constitution, if you do not stand up to get to the bottom of what happened here, to getting back of the math and getting back all the statistical analysis that points to a hard steal and get down to the receipts and start to look at this evidence, understand something. You're going to be recalled or you're going to be impeached, okay? People have had a belly full of this. And we've got, in this segment, we got Mark Finchem, the representative from southern Arizona, has been at the driving force of this, back of having the 11-hour testimony and everything that started the ball rolling in Arizona. And also one of my heroes, a true honey badger, Liz Harris, who has taken it upon herself to get down to business out there and to prove that these gutless politicians want to look the other way. And guess what? Liz Harris, she's pure. She is a snake handler, and she's at the bottom of the bottomless pit of nuttery, according to John Harwood. But she's relentless, and this is what's going to save this republic. There's not a saloon, and there wasn't a gun battle in Frankfurt, okay? What's going to happen is people like Liz Harris, not sitting in a live chat talking about all the big stuff you're going to do. She's out doing it, and she's changed. She is bending the arc of history. Let's go to Finchem first. Mark, tell me what's going on. The Maricopa County, they're sending out, I guess Kelly Ward has been tweeting out that the Maricopa County guys saying, please do not call us again. Don't send emails again. So right now, let's get it up. Let's get Denver to get up to Maricopa County if we can find it. I want to make sure everybody in this audience triple down today, triple down in letting the Maricopa County folks know what you think of their performance. Mark Finchem, what is going on, sir?
To this, Steve. Honor the subpoena. Get off your duff. Let's get a forensic audit done, not just of the machinery that calculated, not tabulated, calculated the vote, and let's get a look at a forensic audit of the ballot images. That's a real simple solution. So quit your whining and make it happen. That's when the phone calls stop. And oh, by the way, I got to tell you, I think we need to take a look at changing the state motto. This needs to be the land of honey badgers. Liz Harris is a hero to me. And she's not working by herself. I'm not going to, spoiler alert, she's got hundreds of people who are helping her. Citizens who have had a gutful. So with that, you don't need to talk to me. You need to talk to her.
Okay, let's bring in Liz Harris. And Mark, hang on, because I want to come back to you and get more of the context. If we can bring on Liz Harris now. Liz, are you with us?
Hi, I'm with you. Good morning. How are you?
Hey, you're a hero.
Very good.
Everybody.
Steve,
Yep. Go ahead.
I want to thank you for that quote bending the arc of history. That was absolutely brilliant. And I think that that's what myself and Bobby Piton really want to do in exposing what we're finding throughout the country.
By the way, an homage. I think I lifted that. I think that I lifted that from I lifted that from somebody. But duly noted, right? I love that. I love that saying. President Obama used to use it all the time. Let's go back, because you guys are. Now tell us how you're doing. You're kind of a hero to all of us, because you are a honey badger, but you're somebody just inspired in a self-organizing way hundreds of people to work with you. Specifically, what have you been doing and what are the results?
Okay, so very quickly, I started this as a dead voter project, and I realized there aren't enough dead voters per se in Arizona to make a difference. Granted, we have dead voters, but as many of you know, Trump needs 10,500 votes. So what I noticed very quickly is that when I was going through our voter registration and people who voted in a national database, I was finding that 1 out of 5 people, I couldn't even find them in the state, or if they had a unique enough name, I couldn't even find a record of them existing. So that turned me on to basically giving Bobby Piton basically what our problem here was in Arizona. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Keep going. Hear you fine.
Okay, so that's right. So I'm the one who called in Bobby Piton. He took our data sets and he took just regular public information that was on the Arizona websites. And basically he realized, like, one of the most monumental things is that our increase in population in the state of Arizona increased by about 44%, but our voter rolls over the last 20 years increased by 200%. So right there, that was an indicator. So I testified at the hearings that Representative Finchem had with Mayor Giuliani, and basically, I was given, Mark said, how long, we know that you have a lot of volunteers lined up ready to put the boots to the ground to find out where this voter fraud is occurring. How many days do you need? And I kind of said 14, but then Mark made me retract it and say, I can do it in 7 days. It was kind of like, name that tune. How many notes can you do it in? So we essentially had 800 people sign up. And we are organizing at the Capitol tomorrow at 6 p.m., tomorrow, Wednesday, basically to report what our findings are. And one of the great reveals, we have many, many great reveals, is how many people in the state of Arizona voted from multiple government offices. Okay? Now, I'm not saying they just had their ballot mail there. They are using government offices as their primary and secondary addresses. That's like one. That's huge.
But hang on, Liz. Liz, hang on before we get to more reveals. I just want to set the context here. Didn't the Secretary of State certify this? And when you guys are giving your testimony, I don't think we'd even gotten to you and Bobby yet. I think we were still on the guys in the first hour and a half, which is the great predicate laid in the 11 hours of open testimony in Arizona when the governor, Ducey, by the way, Governor Ducey, the guy who's not going to be a senator in 2022 and who's not going to be president of the United States, because your political career is going to end unless you call a special session. I'm very rarely wrong in these type of things, and I'm not wrong in this one. How did this get certified? How did he sign that during you had hundreds of thousands of people watching this on live stream? He basically went in your grill, went in Bobby Pitton's grill, went in Rudy Giuliani's grill and smirked and smugged and signed it, certified it. How did he do that when an army, or a brigade, I should say, a brigade of private citizens doing the hard work are sitting here telling us now, hey, we got guys voting from multiple government buildings, post office, you're going to give us more reveals. How did he certify it when they clearly hadn't done the work on something that was obvious enough that you didn't need a degree in astrophysics to go figure this out?
Well, I think Bobby Piton's pretty close to that degree in astrophysics. But do you remember what Bobby said? I would resign before I certified. A lot of these people should not be in positions of power. They should not be the elected representatives, basically representing we the people. And that's, Steve, is what this has all really come down to. We the people want to see the recalls. We've had it. enough is enough.
You want to recall? Give us a few more of the reveals you're going to show tomorrow, at least a taste of it to get people excited, and then we'll talk about the recalls in a second. What are the other reveals besides they're voting for multiple government locations?
Okay, so this is a lot of the work that Bobby came up with, and Bobby talks about the phantom sleeper voter and the way the data is being manipulated. Well, now we finally have. And again, we're having our great reveals hour by hour. It's amazing. But now we have not one but multiple eyewitnesses that are basically witnessing the data changing within the within the AZ GOP data center and the Maricopa Recorder's Office. Basically, there is a manipulation of what is happening with the voter rolls. And we literally have printouts of people who at one point in time, they voted in the 2020 election. Now, all of a sudden, their vote is gone. Can you please explain to me, Steve, how that happens? Did they make a mistake and enter a vote and then say, oh, we've got to erase it? I mean, what is happening? When you put all these great reveals together, I mean, you don't have 10,500 votes. You have a minimum of 160,000 illegal ballots.
Okay, this is what I want to say. You don't need to find. You're saying right now, in your hard work, you're going to be able to show the details to back up 160,000 illegal ballots in the state of Arizona. Is that what I'm hearing?
That is the number that Bobby Payton has come up with at a minimum. The problem is we are not getting what we need. The way Bobby figured this out is he analyzed Arizona, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, he was able to get the timestamps for one congressional race on when the voter records were updated. I have a FOIA request in for that information, and I was told it could take up to 3 months to get me that data. And then I've also been told by others, by the time you get it, it's going to be manipulated. We have a serious problem, Steve.
Let me ask you, the purpose of tomorrow, of this rally, you're going to present all the reveals and want government officials to work with you to sort this out, or is this a recall rally? What's the purpose of what you're trying to accomplish? Are you actually going to go and ask officials to work with you guys on what you found so far and to develop this more before the January 6th event in Washington? Or is this you're just going to go and say, hey, these guys have got to be recalled? What is it?
Okay, this is definitely a recall effort. We have given our Maricopa County Board of Supervisors enough chances. There are 4 of them that voted against releasing that machinery so that we can have basically the evidence we need. So Maricopa County Board of Supervisors needs to engage in an immediate audit of that equipment. Immediate. That's like, no, hands down, we need that immediately. We know what they found in Michigan. We know what they found in other states. That's number 1. Number 2, those petitions are going out tomorrow to recall 4 of the 5 Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. So that's the second one. And then I am going to tell you, I have reached out to enough state legislators. As you know, we have 47, senators and House of Representatives in Arizona that are of the Republican Party. And I would say that 21 of the 47 are cooperating.
What, 20?
And, the majority isn't.
The 21 of the 47. Okay, can we got to bounce and get back to Mark. We got to take a break. But can you give all your social media access points so people can follow you immediately and become part of this?
Okay, so it's Liz Harris MBA on Twitter. And then, forgive me, but the fundraising effort, which I am not necessarily directly involved in, but basically they are raising money for donations to basically help with recall efforts.
Sure.
It's not, it's not to fly in.
Fine. So what is it?
Right, so
what's the access? Yeah. Okay. What is?
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Let me send it in to you, and if you could.
Fine.
post
We'll
it,
talk
that would
about
be
it with Mark
terrific.
Finchem in the next. Your hero. Everybody
Thank you
should
so much.
Everybody should follow her on Twitter. This is the type of citizen leadership that you're seeing, and what you're seeing is these gutless elected officials are ducking and covering, and people like Liz Harris are taking all their time. They're not having holidays off. They're not taking Christmas. They're grinding through. Jack.
These anomalies that she's talking about, these rectification of the voter rolls, we saw this in Pennsylvania. We saw this in Michigan, my guys in Switzerland. We got to put you two together for sure after the show.
Okay, Liz Harris, you're an American hero. Take a short commercial break. We're going to come back in Arizona, down there with the desert rats. We're going to have Mark Finchem next on War and Pandemic.
With Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back. We now have Mark Finchem. Mark just sent me something. I'm sending it to the team so we can get up camera. We're doing a little producing here in real time as we do. Okay, Finchem. So she's an American hero. Everybody in the audience, everybody sitting there in the mumble tank, hey, I'm depressed. Don't be depressed. Ride to the sound of the guns, okay? That's a figure of speech. YouTube, that's a figure of speech. Where's Madeline Peltz? Where's our marketing director? Madeline, we had the audience loves you so much, they made a non-denominational vegetative thing. We want to thank
Holiday Circle.
Holiday Circle. With you as the star, you're head of marketing. We're the #1 podcast in the country. Because of you, where are you? You taking... Madeline, don't tell me Media Matters takes time off on the over the break.
I think we're the #1 show in America because, Steve, you are quite sensitive. And I look back on the arc of history, and you were actually quoting Dr. Martin Luther King. And it's quite
Was it Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King?
Martin Luther King, and it's quite an inspiring phrase for what we, the deplorables, are confronting right now. He says, "We shall overcome because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice."
Yes, Dr. King, one of the great men of the South, and one of the great not just public speakers, but someone who knew rhetoric and could write incredibly powerfully. So, bending the arc of history, that was an homage, a complete lift. I want to go back to Finchem. Just tell people about Liz Harris and what they're doing out there and what they have accomplished, because this is the motivator. Remember, folks, they're going to be talking about this 100 years. This is also, we're going to get this sorted so we close on the victory for Trump, and that's why Navarro's talking about the second term and on his thing with Fox. But you have to remember, more details are going to come out about this. #1, there is going to be a special prosecutor put on this, right? But there's also all this evidence, and all this is going to come out. Even more is going to come out because people are like honey badger on this. They're not going to give this up. They're not going to just let this have this blatant steal in these districts, right, of these battleground states. What the New York Times did, they're whining, this huge report in the Sunday paper saying how Trump stunned people by overperforming with Asian Americans and African Americans throughout the country, except in a couple of districts in Milwaukee and Fulton County and Philadelphia, and Phoenix. Surprise, surprise. So in Maricopa County, the guys in Maricopa County, you can hide, but you're going to be found. Okay, this is going to be relentless. And by the way, they're going to do it by Robert's Rules of Order. What they're going to do is just they're going to reach out to you, and they want you to respond. So, Finchem, tell us about Liz Harris.
So, Steve, I know that you're a student of history. When they gathered on the green in Lexington, they were facing the world-dominant empire of redcoats and soldiers. Allow me to place that same moniker, if you will, on Liz Harris and the hundreds of fellow honey badgers in Arizona who, like you say, they are relentless. They are sick and tired of the pat on the head, we got this, it's okay, you're too stupid to know what's going on. These are not the drones you're looking for attitude that you're getting from elected officials. So I can tell the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, there's an easy out here. Honor the subpoenas, get off your duff, and move this. Because they are coming for you. And this is, what's interesting is, this is an output of getting, when we asked for folks to step forward in the hearing of 11 hours. By the way, we could have had another day in testimony just from people. So that tells you this is not just some little brush fire that's going to burn out. There is now a forest fire going on in the state of Arizona. And for any elected official who decides they want to turn their back on this, you're going to have burns on your back, third-degree burns, because these people they're done. They are done. So you now have people like Liz Harris, and Liz, I mean, she's managed groups of people, 500 people plus in business. She's organized these folks, and everybody's got a working list. This is you want to talk about grassroots, an emergence of we the people. It is amazing to watch this, Steve. And when just a few elected officials open the space for these folks to be able to move, they are moving mountains with the data that they are processing, that they are going through. You got boots on the ground knocking on doors. They're going to the addresses of these alleged voters, looking at the address, taking a picture of the voter record and the address, and then signing an affidavit that they were actually there. That's work. So the folks that are out there that want to see to it that they have a free and fair election, set the Cheetos down, get off your couch, and go out and find the people who are doing this kind of work and help them.
Mark, what's the? We got about a minute. What's the next step of what's happening? I know we have this rally tomorrow. We're going to promote it heavily. What else is going? Give us a minute of what else is going. What are you working on? What else is going in Arizona right now?
Well, we got to find an intake mechanism for the evidence that Liz and the citizen army is engaged in collecting. That's one step. I am working on right now a letter to the vice president. We're going through some edits. I'm going to be asking the members of the legislature. We have now gone beyond reasonable doubt, and we're into a preponderance of the evidence, I believe. So my hope is that the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors are going to get off their duff and honor the subpoena, and let's quit playing with games in the court.
Hold on, hang on. You brought up one of my You brought up one of my favorite topics. I need you to stay over for the next segment. We're going to take a short commercial break. We have Mark Finchem, a representative from southern Arizona, Oro Valley, and he took it upon himself to say, hey, look, this is a month ago. I'm not going to tolerate this. This has to have a public forum. We have to get this evidence. There's overwhelming evidence of voter fraud. There's overwhelming evidence of election fraud. And it's easy. Mark Finchem could have shut up and gone play golf and gone skiing in Colorado and had a nice Christmas and done what he did. Liz Harris could have done the same thing. You know what they said? No, we're not going to do that. We're American patriots. We're going to stand up for this country. This is not about Donald Trump. It's not about Donald Trump's presidency. There's something deeper here. President Trump understands that. That's why I think today they put out the proclamation. I don't think it's random. They put the proclamation out about St. Thomas à Becket, okay, the 850th anniversary. We're going to have Marshall Taylor, one of the preeminent Catholic theologians, and also man of action, is going to join us at the bottom of the hour in our next hour. But we're going to bring back Finchem because he's talking about a topic very close to my heart. The Vice President of these United States, Mike Pence, next on War Room Pandemic.